Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 36 of Like, Share, Follow. And this week I have Lacee Froeschl, who is a marketing coordinator at Smith's Lawyers in Brisbane. And Lacee is also a university grad who studied social media with me and did the social media minor. That's right, isn't it, Lacee?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and so we're just talking, it's been 2 years since you were last at USC and graduated uni. So tell me, what have you been doing from the time you left the classroom to now?
Well, when I first finished uni, obviously it's usually a bit hard to find work straight out, but I was quite lucky to land a job as a journalist with the Sunshine Coast Daily. So I didn't have to move anywhere, just had to walk from one door to the other right here on the sunny coast. But yeah, so I did that for about 2 years, and I guess halfway through last year, the paper decided to shut down its print editions, and that kind of got me thinking when we were moving online that I could use my social media skills. And when I started doing that, I realized that I really like it and that I haven't been using them enough. So I thought I'd branch out and try marketing in social media, and I've started that and been here for almost a month.
Oh, fantastic. Very new. And so how much social media do you do for Smith's Lawyers?
Well, my role is quite content creating based. So I do a lot of that for social media. So pretty much everything that I do is I'm making it for either our website, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So at the moment, majority of it is social media based.
Excellent. And I mean, marrying those two disciplines of journalism and social media, it must work really well for you and your role.
It does, especially working for a law firm. Our client stories are a big thing. And when I was working as a journalist at the newspaper, the people stories were what I loved to write. And I still get to do that here, which is a bonus.
Yeah. I mean, that's the fun part, isn't it? Going out and interviewing and then creating content and telling stories. And I mean, don't you agree that essentially that's what social media really is? It's about sharing stories.
Storytelling. Yeah.
Yeah. And so because it's like within a legal, say, context, how much can you actually tell without giving away too much information?
Very good question, actually, and something that I'm still learning every day. There are a lot of laws around what you can and can't say on social media and really in any advertising whatsoever, which, yeah, still learning something every day. When I write a blog or I write a post and I get it checked off by my manager, there's usually always something in there that we can't say. So it's a tough journey, but one that I can only learn with time. Like,
Yeah.
that's a piece of advice that I give everyone as well, is that don't hit yourself too hard if you don't get it right the first time.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you've got to learn somehow, don't you?
Yes.
So I was going to ask too, so the events of Facebook last week, did that affect you in any way?
Well, it did actually, and still not sure why, but our page was shut down for a couple of days. We're not a publisher or a news site, so we're still not quite sure. But in saying that, Queensland Health and everyone was shut down for a period of time, but we're back up and running. So that's a good thing. Hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, and it was really strange because some things were let through and some things weren't. Not-for-profits were also shut down, which was
Yeah.
just really, confusing. I managed to, I probably shouldn't say this live across, but I posted an article about what was happening and it vanished, the post, but then then it came back. And today I posted my segment on Ticker. I uploaded it into Facebook and it was fine, but they might discover it now and it'll be gone, so who knows?
Yeah.
And so tell me, what do you think set you apart from other graduates when you went for the role at Smith's Lawyers?
Well, I actually did ask my manager this, and well, she didn't give me a specific answer. When I guess one thing that we're doing here now is, you know, my journalistic abilities probably, and knowing how a newsroom works and what journalists want when you pitch them stories, because you know the free media market is very underutilized, I think, and being an ex-journo, I do think that. So I think probably that skill that I had in knowing how a newsroom works, what journos want, how to approach it, that kind of thing is what set me apart. So yeah, social media, marketing, PR, journalism all go hand in hand. So it's probably a good idea to know how to do all of those, at least at a basic level.
Absolutely. It's like, I don't know if you heard of that idea of the T-shaped marketer, a T-shaped professional, where you have one or two areas that you really have deep expertise in, but then you have a knowledge of a whole range of areas that help those two areas, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So yeah, so it sounds like you're a T-shaped professional to me.
Yeah. If you want to put it that way.
Yeah, I mean that in the kindest way.
Yeah.
Possible. And so tell me also, what are some of the best advice you've ever been given in relation to your career?
I think this is probably something that everyone's been given at some point, but you don't really realize it until you do it, which is don't overwork yourself. I know that's not necessarily specific to any industry in particular, because it can be done everywhere, but don't overwork yourself. And in social media or marketing, I guess in particular, is everything, or almost everything, trial and error. So again, don't hit yourself over the head for for not knowing how something works or why something works. Just take your time, relax. don't stress out. If there's something that you don't know, ask. In particular, I'm probably speaking from a person who's new to marketing, to just always ask. That's probably the best piece of advice that I've been given in my career, is don't just think you're doing the right thing, or don't think you're doing the wrong thing. Ask for advice.
Yeah, just to get that clarification. No, that's great. That's great advice. In itself, not overworking. So I've done some research recently with social media professionals on that very topic, and found that there seems to be a disconnect between what some employers think that when you're working in social media, once you leave the office, you shut off and you go home, but actual social media managers and those working in the field tend to keep looking at the channels when they're at home, and particularly if they're running some sort of ad campaigns and things like that, they can't help but keep checking and so they don't really shut off. They feel like they have to be on time. So
that has been me.
Yeah.
I tried in the first week or two to do that, to shut off when I get home. I mean, everyone does it, but you know, it is true. Social media is on 24/7, so it's important to keep an eye on it majority of that time.
Yeah, but without also causing yourself any damage as well, because taking that first piece of advice. I mean, I have to take it myself. Trust me, like overworking. Like I just sort of just went la la la. But yeah, it's really important, that sort of self-care aspect of it too. And so tell me, what are some of the things that you learned at university that you think have really helped you in your current role?
Well, I think that is a hard question, because uni does teach you all of the basics and, all of the standard industry principles, I guess, in marketing, and how to use social media, and that in a marketing role or in a social media role, you have to monitor and measure as well as create content. It gives you the basic skills for everything, which it's really important. And I know that sounds silly saying that, because it's a given that what you learn in uni is important, but you don't realize it until you actually enter a role like this, that what you are taught is real.
Well, that's good. That's good for me to hear.
Yeah.
And we try, I do try and make it as accurate, as possible. So, no, that's just to prepare you. But I think too, like also teaching you how to adapt because it just changes all the time.
That's what I was going to say. And you did a good job, Karen, too, because social media changes every day. And like what just happened with Facebook last week, I guess it goes to show that social media can change at any second, and you've got to know how to bounce back from that.
Absolutely. And so, what have been some of the things that when you, in your role now, or even in your previous role at Sunshine Coast Daily, that when you got into the workplace, you were like, "Oh, I wish I knew, I wish I was taught that at uni. I didn't, I don't feel prepared in that aspect of my role."
There wasn't actually a lot. And I mean, it's obviously different for every workplace, but I don't know, nothing specific to marketing or journalism in particular. I learned pretty much everything at uni, whether it was on a basic level or in depth. But I guess knowing how to handle rejection or criticism as well in the workplace is something that you don't get taught. And I mean, you are prepared for it, but you never really know how you're going to react if you are rejected for a work, or if you're told something that you have written isn't right, something like that. It's oh, the power just went out.
I saw that. Yeah. So, and it's hard too. Like we also want to give you constructive feedback, but we don't want to damage you either. So yeah. So and it can be harsh, and I guess it depends on the person delivering that feedback too, because some people are a bit sort of more blunt than others.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's prepare you for that. So, but that's a very good point, how to do that. And is there something social media wise that you've picked up, like some sort of tool or hack or bit of information that you've learned in the last couple of weeks that you could share with us?
I have actually. We've been using Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, obviously, for our three platforms, but Instagram stories, I never really used them for marketing before ever. And I mean, when I was in uni, Instagram stories were only fresh.
Yeah.
And they were being used a lot. So we didn't, I guess, focus on Instagram stories as much, but they're much more beneficial than you think. They can reach
Absolutely.
a massive audience that, things in your Instagram feed won't do.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably one of the social media related things that I've picked up or learned in the last couple of weeks is make use of Instagram stories.
Yeah, and they're actually like some research has shown they're actually viewed more than the posts in the feed, Instagram stories. So, and the engagement sort of tools you can use to get people to touch, and interact with the content.
The
Right.
polls and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. To increase that engagement. And a little tip I heard from Bronte Creswell from Dash of Milk Agency, who's also a USC grad, is about using hashtags in your stories. And what you can do is, so you can just do that one, but what you could do is actually create other ones with the text tool and color them the same as the background. So
and hide them.
doing that. That increases your reach, like on crazy levels. So.
Yeah. I mean, another thing I guess that I learned with when that Facebook ban happened, it's important to have a strong presence on more than just one platform. A lot of people use Facebook and Facebook only. It's not a good idea.
Yeah.
You should definitely have an Instagram, a Twitter, a LinkedIn, anything like that. Any of the major platforms you should have another presence on. So don't forget about those.
Absolutely. And even also building a strong email list as well. And you own that, that's something you can have. So if all the platforms like died or kicked you off tomorrow, you still own something, can contact the people who are interested in what you do.
Yes. Yeah. I 100% agree.
Yeah. And so we're sort of getting towards the end of our interview, but what advice could you give to current students or emerging professionals as they enter the industry about how they can succeed in their careers?
For social media, learn more, keep up to date with social media trends, and platforms like TikTok, for example, that went off like crazy and no one really knew what it was and how it could help business. But TikTok, yeah, something like that. But because I'm learning more and more every day, and even things that I probably should have known already, but I didn't or I forgot about. So
Yeah.
that's probably the advice that I give for someone going into a career in social media or marketing or anything where they need to use a social media platform, is to keep up to date with the trends, because that'll keep your business high up on Facebook's priority list when they put all your content out to the people that you want it to reach.
Yeah, totally. And I think too, sometimes I find with the students that I work with, they become very focused on the platforms that they like and they use, which is good. You can specialize in that and have your favorites. But if you're actually going to work in the field, you need to be where your client's audience is, and they may not be where you are. So you need to learn all, like, not platforms, but a good range of the platforms, so you have experience in them. So my one I need to learn more about is Pinterest, because I don't know enough about that platform.
I mean, I did learn that too in uni, with one of my industry projects, I guess you could call it, when we worked with some businesses, and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter just didn't work for this business. It was all about LinkedIn, and I knew nothing about LinkedIn, but I had to learn it just for that. So,
Yeah.
but I guess that's worked, because another piece of advice that I could give them is networking, which I know when we were in uni, you held a lot of events and a lot of networking events and things. So go to those, people.
Yeah, that's the thing, because it's I mean, most jobs come about from who you know, not they're not most jobs aren't advertised, and so it's really building those networks, and starting when you're at uni, particularly when if you're all in the same degree and you're studying in the same area, chances are you're going to a lot of people will stay in the same industry. So these are going to be your peers and your colleagues in your field, and it's so good to be connected with them, because you never know when need them or they do, and that's where jobs come about.
Yes, I mean, I was very lucky to have seen this job advertised and got it out of however many people applied. But yeah,
Yeah,
I think it was definitely networking that that keeps you up to date with what's going on in the marketing industry and social media industry as well.
absolutely. And so, for our final question and the most important question of the show is, who do you like, share, and follow?
I did have to think about this one a bit, because before I started this job, I didn't really like, share, or follow many people. I did a lot of local groups, a lot of community groups on Facebook, because that's how I found a lot of my stories when I was working as a journalist, and what mattered to the community. But now I'm really starting to like and follow marketing businesses, like Mumbrella is one of them. I've signed up to their email subscribing and their email alerts, and I'm getting a lot of that. Newspapers as well, like the Daily or the Gold Coast Bulletin, Courier Mail. A lot of it is business professionals, basically. Anyone that gives good advice, I'm following them.
Yeah, good move.
Yeah.
Okay, well, do you have any final words to share before we finish the show?
Hmm. Pretty much, I think the thing to take away from this whole experience, if I can inspire, if that's the right
I'm
word
sure
to
you
use, anyone, yeah, is if you're if you want to give something a go, if you want to expand your skills, to go for it and to do it, and not sit down and think about it, but give it a shot, because there's more than likely more than one or two jobs you can do with the skills that you get coming out of uni. So that's the last thing I would say.
Totally. And it's never the right time. You know, you just have to do it. Like it's never going to be the right time. So just do it and work it out as you go.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. And Fiona D has commented and said, great advice, Lacey. So yeah. Well, thank you very much, Lacey, and for your time today, sharing your insights. And next week it'll be a surprise. I'm still lining up next week's guest. It's orientation week, so things have been very manic, and we're getting back into the swing of things. So thank you so much, and I'll see everyone next week. We'll be up to episode 37. Can you believe it? Wow! Thanks so much.